Okay, without any further ado, please welcome to the stage the Dame of the and Brockenshack Wines Ambassador, Jane Ferrari. Please put your hands together for Jane.
I'm not a cricketer and not super famous, but I've worked a lot around the traps in the Barossa Valley. I've had Dennis Lilly as a client for a long, long time. That sounds wrong, but I'm going to keep going. And I've got lots of killer stories, and I did remind Jeff Thompson that at one stage when I was working at Yalumba, it was traditional for the Boxing Day Test rest day to be up there at the winery. And we've got great photographs of the boys in their Speedos, so girls, I can give very, very detailed accounts. I actually have got I've got an unreleased wine from Brockenshack. It's a spooky good Cabernet from the High Country, 1998. It's a killer vintage.
So never been drunk before, Jack?
These are the only two bottles that are outside of the Eden Valley right now. They came up on the plane with me this morning in my hand luggage.
And you'll be drinking them at the table?
And they'll be released next year in June. So
worth, just talking to Jane earlier, worth well over $100, but a beautiful.
Priceless, really.
Priceless sitting there. Yeah. And you'll run them through the wine while you're having lunch?
I'll do that. I'll tell you the Dennis Lilly story from when I was at Rockford. I'll describe in detail what Jeff's abs used to look like, and I've also got a couple of killer stories about some other super famous folk I've worked with, and I'm more than happy to spill the beans today.
And now I'm going to leave you with Jane to have a bit of a chat about the wine. Please give her a round of applause. Thank you very, very much.
Thanks, Evan. It's been a bit of a crazy year for most folks. Normally, I'd be on about my 75th flight selling wine around the world, and this morning was my third, and I am thrilled to bits to be up here in Queensland because I was a guest of the New South Wales Rugby League at the Adelaide State of Origin, and having Billy Moore as a mate, you can see that I would have got into a lot of trouble being in that box, but it was fantastic to see them get up, and it's nice to be at the Gabba even though I've never seen a game here. So thanks for having us. I'm going to get that out the road first. Folks, I know you're here to talk about cricket, but there's a spooky little spot up the back of the Barossa Valley, and bear in mind, 1890 through 1915, we were making port for the British Empire. Port, sherry and brandy. And at the end of the First World War, they nearly went bankrupt. They said to Australia, sorry, we don't want your wine anymore. And we had to turn our ship around from mostly port and fortified to mostly table wine. Now, why on earth in 1927 and 1896 there were Cabernet and Riesling planted up in this tiny little part of Eden Valley, I don't know. But you've got a Queensland family that have got avocados and wine up north in far north Queensland. They've come down to the Eden Valley. They've bought this extraordinary part of the world that's called the Golden Triangle. And it's got nothing to do with drugs, and it's not like the Bermuda Triangle. You don't go in there and disappear. Well, you can. But it's this big gum and granite country. It sits at the bottom of this gorgeous thing called Peggy's Hill. And if you go in, there's only one road in, one road out, and it's not the same. You know, it's either side you can come in. As you go in one way, it's a giant tunnel of big red gums. When you come out the other way, it looks like the Giant's Causeway up the top of Scotland with these giant granite teeth. It's a spooky spot that the Paramount people, years and years ago, used to swap opal and flint for possum skins and food. It's an extraordinary part of the world, and this Queensland family, the Harch family, have bought Brockenshack. Brockenshack is a combination of the four grandchildren's names. You're going to see some pretty cool stuff on the list today. There's a sparkling red, Shiraz. This is festive season. That's what we start everything with at Christmas. And it's going to roll through the Pinot Noir, the Hare Hunter. Basically, the big block of Pinot up the back of the property is where the giant hares live, and you're lucky if you can spot them. There's a fantastic Shiraz that's going to go with the main course. The Riesling comes from 1896 planted. It's the oldest Riesling in Australia. Came straight out of Germany with the settlers. And you're going to finish with a tawny port that is 10-year-old average age Shiraz spiced up with brandy spirit. So When you get to that Jack Harrison Shiraz with the main course, that's a parcel of 85-year-old Shiraz that used to go into one of the top reds in Australia. I can't say which one it is, but it has a red name and it sits on an angle, and I can't say more than that. But basically, thanks a million for having us. I'm going to have to go and tell stories. I would love to get back up once you've had a couple of drinks, because once you've had a couple of drinks, I get a lot funnier. I realised that at the beginning of the year when my whole world dissolved into a state of flux because I resigned a 25-year career a month before COVID landed, and I was lucky that Brock and Shack gave me an opportunity to work with them through the year. But I realised in February that because I'd been whizzing around the world, I'd actually not got on top of a service that I should have really taken care of. I mean, one thing's superannuation, but the other thing I didn't get on top of, and that was a husband. And I know, and I'm sorry to squeeze this in here, but you've got to take every opportunity. And I'm looking around the room, and I reckon there's some single or single again, or could be single again. And I was in England last year, believe it or not. This time last year, I was doing a job in England, and I happened to be telling about how many flights a year I do, and this fellow at the table, just like this, said, "How come your husband lets you travel 10 months of the year?" And I said, "Well, I don't have a husband, but I'd like to get one." And I said, "I know I'm not super good looking, and I'm smart enough to realise I'm no babe, but I've got some really good things going for me that I think are real pluses." And he said, "Like what?" And you know, when you're talking to one person on a table and then the whole table's listening and then the whole room's... So I said to him, "Yeah," I said, "I got this 8 acres of land up on the side of a hill in Angaston above the Barossa Valley with a gorgeous view." And he said, "Wow, that's great." I said, "Yeah, but that's not the best thing." I said, "My brothers are Italian, they're builders, so I've got a 5-metre concrete veranda around the whole place, which is beautiful to sit on and check out the view, which is gorgeous, but it's also good because it's a great killing ground for the brown snakes, you can see them, which is helpful." I said, "But that's not the best thing." I said, "Because I'm single, I've saved my money and I've paid it off and I'm freehold." He said, "That's fantastic." I said, "Yeah, but that's not the best thing. I've worked my way up the food chain and I've got myself this fantastic company vehicle, and I know it matters to a bloke what vehicle you've got." I said, "It's a brand new 4-wheel drive Hilux Arctic White with a bull bar and a tow bar," and I know the tow bar is important. It's a Heyman Reese heavy duty, so Jeff, if we need to pull something serious, we can. And basically, I said to him, "That's not the best bit." And he said, "Really? There's more?" I said, "Oh, yeah." I said, "I've got a Caltex fuel card that comes with it, so, you know, we can drive anywhere." He said, "That's great." I said, "Yeah, but that's not the best bit." I said, "I'm up on the side of a hill at Angaston. I'm in the shadow of the repeater station, so I have to get cable TV. I don't get good reception from digital NB anything." And I said, "I've got cable TV." He goes, "That's great." I said, "Yeah, but that's not the best thing." I said, "I don't have the movie channels. You don't have to come over to my place and watch Steel Magnolias and tell me how you feel. I don't really care how you feel." I said, "I've got the sports packages. If you want to watch the Six Nations, you can." And he goes, "That's great." I said, "Yeah, I even know what the Six Nations is." And he said, "That's fantastic. You would be a great catch." I said, "Yeah, but that's not the best thing." He said, "What's the best thing?" I said, "Mate, I'm away from home for 10 months of the year. Why can't I get a husband?" So if you guys, if there's anyone that's single or single again, I'm at table number 5.
Actually, Jane,
Thanks a million.
before you go, you are at table 5, but now we know all that, I'm going to get a lot more money for it.
Well, I actually, knowing that there was mostly blokes today, I actually invested in a brand new blouse. And I bought this in Nashville. I don't know if you've been to Nashville, but Nashville's full of cowboys and whatnot, country music. And I bought this on the main drag in Nashville, and there was a male sales assistant. And he was a broken down bull rider girls. He had one of those pair of Wranglers, you know, the lift and separate, you know the one, yeah. And I said, "I need a really good blouse for this gig because it's mostly blokes and I want to make a good impression." And he gave me this and said, "Put that on." And he said, "If this don't turn them on, they just ain't got a switch." I said, "I'll have 2. So But then he said it's a bit sheer, and sheer is sales assistant talk for watch out. You have to wear clean underwear because you can see straight through it. So I had to invest in a camisole, and I researched camisole, and camisole is French for only 2 more buttons to the prize, boys. So, yes, thank you for having me, and enjoy. And Brock and Shack, folks, look after us. We'll look after you.